Hello and welcome to part 2 of China Stories. In today's episode, we will take a look at an incident that happened over 7 years ago in the coastal city of Dalian in Liaoning province, China. We caught up with Canadian-born, long-term expat Ke Da-fu, who also happens to be an expert in Chinese history and politics, to talk about what happened on that day.
So an interesting piece of Dalian history happened 7 years ago. On Sunday, August 14th, 2011, the Dalian PX factory protest happened. And I was extremely excited because I'd heard about this 2 weeks before. One from a British guy who's well connected and follows the news and politics. And the second was from a Chinese dissident on Facebook. Now, what exactly is the PX is a really chemical factory that produces things like air conditioning units and other cooling devices, and obviously heavy chemicals are used. So earlier in the year, the factory had water contamination, which obviously pissed off a lot of people. And 2 years before in Nanjing, the factory also had another protest. So we can't say how many people actually came, but at least 100,000, easily. And this was Hujintao, China, and just before and kind of around the Bo Xilai scandal. And so naturally it made big news. Now, how it was presented to people through social media was, they didn't call it a protest or a riot. It was go for a stroll. Yes, let's go for a stroll down at People's Park. And sure enough, everyone did. And what was interesting was they were allowed to march down Zongshanlu, which is like Center Street, all the way down to the next square, Friendship Square, and loop the square and walk back to Renmin. And by that time they came back, the mayor of Dalian at the time, Xia Dairen, and the other guy, the political committee member, they came out and addressed the crowd. And it was, wow, it's not often that happens. So they climbed up on a police van and gave a speech saying they would support the Dalian citizens and the plant would be moved. And they didn't say how or why or when. But it was quite remarkable because the police were in small numbers, not like the Diaoyu Dao fishing island incident the year before. There was very few police. I could understand that most of them police were Dalian locals themselves, so they were quite sympathetic. And if you look at the type of people who came, it was a family-friendly event. For example, one of my students here dressed up in a little police uniform. Him and his parents were marching there. A lot of young people, a lot of women, a lot of office workers. It was quite a shock. So it was remarkably quite peaceful. A lot of people were middle fingering the city hall and committee building there. And later, eventually, it turns to some few scuffles, some bottle throwing and shoves and pushes and pushing around, but the police were remarkably tame. This could have been gone down a lot differently, and very few arrests were made as well in the aftermath. It was in the Dalian paper the next day. Yeah, this could not be kept quiet, and it was progress. The local government listened to the masses, and things were done. Things got changed. It was quite remarkable. However, you could tell it was definitely staged. Yes, somewhere, someone on some level of the Chinese government allowed this to happen. What's very crazy is highly doubtful that something like this would be allowed again in the near future. Many years later, you can see that the security has increased so much more. And this is interesting, looking here in the bushes. As you can see here, the lights have been secured down by these metal grates, and that's because angry citizens can't rip out the lights and start throwing them at City Hall there. Hey, 你好。
Dalian PX 钢枪，你解读了吗？不太清楚。哎呀，好。Yeah, well.
So yeah, a squad of police officers showed up, and I asked them, "Hey, I'm interested in Chinese politics and history, and I'm talking about the Dalian PX factory." So I asked them, "Hey, do you remember the Dalian PX factory incident?" And, yeah, they said, no, get out of here. Okay, yeah, no problem.
So that's the story of the PX protest that happened in Dalian, China. We hope you enjoyed the story, and until next time, 再见.